welcome back to the channel. I'm Ajiona and we are locked in. You seen the thumbnail? We're talking about Detective Bryant. Now I did do a video on B Mickey, aka B Mickey the Snitch, aka B Mickey Mouse, allegedly. Now we're trying to figure out how is he a vital asset to Detective Bryant to clean up the streets of Detroit, one drug dealer at a time. We also know that Detective Bryant has some issues at his house with his son being bullied and his new partner, Detective Veronica, who could potentially be the duo that we didn't know we needed. Now before we jump into Detective Bryant and all the nonsense he has going on in season 2, if you like BMF content, if you like live after show discussions, theories, breakdowns, predictions, just like this, hit your subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Make sure you hit that like button and follow me on Instagram right here. Now Detective Bryant, he's working. He's working harder than he did in season 1. Season 1, he was taking some money from Meech. But let's jump into it. What does Detective Bryant really have going on in season 2?
You blowing money fast on this side. I think I'm Big Meech.
In the intro, you heard me emphasize that Detective Bryant is actually working overtime. He's already working 10 times harder than we've seen in season 1. And the reason I say that is because we start the whole episode off in 2005 and Detective Bryant is still around. Now he's arresting Terry in St. Louis in 2005. So this means he's been after the Flennory boys since the 80s and he's not giving up until he gets them locked up. And you hear Special Agent Chambers tell Detective Bryant, you did an amazing job with this case. And I won't say he's gloating, but he's glad that he finally has this all taken care of. Now, it's been over 20 years. He knew the boys since they were young. He watched them step into the game as 50 boys, turn into BMF, to the BMF that we knew when they got arrested in 2005. So Detective Bryant, there had to be something that triggers him throughout these next couple of seasons to make him want to go so hard to actually bring these two down and stop BMF. We know Detective Bryant has his ears and feet to the street, pertaining to the 12th Street, to the 50 boys, Meech, Lamar, Pat. He knows it all, and that's why the precinct is really leaning on him for his expertise in the streets on everything that's going on with this little street war between two gangs. Even with all of the expertise that Detective Bryant has, there's still a shady overshadow over him when we listen to him talk, especially when it came to breaking down the actual war between the 50 boys and 12th Street. And a reason that is because we know that he was accepting money from Meech in the first season to keep quiet and to get people off of Meech's back so they can continue to be the 50 boys instead of the 25 boys and drop off 50. And this is one reason why it was just a brief overview on the 50 boys and 12th Street, Lamar's death and Kato's death. That's because Detective Bryant is really working things his own way behind the scenes. And we see that throughout the episode with him talking to B Mickey. And that's why I made the B Mickey video first, so we could understand what B Mickey had to lose that's going to actually help out Detective Bryant when it comes to potentially bringing down the 50 boys and 12th Street, because it would look good for him while making some money on the side. With Detective Bryant low-key covering up everything because he wants to work this himself, and he has some information that he's going through B Mickey with his little blackmailing ordeal that we're going to talk about right after we introduce Detective Veronica. Now, Veronica, she's back on the force. She went out to the suburbs, but she wants to be here in Detroit. So she wants to know any and everything that's going on with this street war between the 50 boys and 12th Street. And Detective Bryant doesn't want that exposed because he has his own agenda going on. When we first watched this episode, we didn't quite understand what this evidence was. We knew it was a gun, but as it comes to find out that it was B Mickey and he's keeping it to blackmail B Mickey for the death of Kato and J-Mo. Now, he has it in the lockbox on my live. We laughed about it. This isn't hidden, it's just in a little cupboard that's easily accessed. Now we know Detective Bryant has some issues going on in his home, especially with his son getting bullied at school. First thing first, the evidence shouldn't be at his house. But that's because Detective Bryant, as I mentioned earlier, has his own agenda. His son is getting bullied at school. He thinks that he's a superhero. What did his dad say? You don't have to pretend to be. I'm the baddest man in Detroit. Now this could end up turning bad and backfire on Detective Bryant. If his son gets access to this gun to go to the school to handle the bullies, this could all just crumble on him. And this could be an escape for B Mickey with whatever blackmail he has going on. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But this situation between him and his son, This is a foreshadowing of something to come. They wouldn't have shown the evidence of the gun prior to the son saying that he's getting bullied at school. Well, he didn't say it, but his dad knew what was happening at the school. 2 consecutive nights after Bryant and Veronica had became partners, they ran into B. Mickey. The first night, they're riding by. Detective Bryant sees B. Mickey. He's watching them through the window. Veronica doesn't say anything, but she also notices it, and she looks through the rearview mirror. So now we know that Veronica's been taking notes on the first day. She's asking questions. There were no witnesses. Incredible. No one's going to help out on this. Now, Detective Bryant isn't opening up all the way with everything that he has going on. And we see later on in the episode that he tells Veronica he's going to be more transparent, because keeping things away from your partner could and has happened, got his partner killed. Bryant and Veronica do chase after B. Mickey and Dink. But Detective Bryant, he stops, and we're thinking he knows who B. Mickey is, so he's just not going to chase after him. Plus, on top of that, they end up catching Dink. They end up confiscating some money, so it's a win-win for them. Plus, he knows exactly who B. Mickey is. Now, the question I have to ask you is, how much transparency is there really going to be between Bryant and Veronica? We know that he takes her and tells her, I'm going to be open with everything that I have going on. And we go in there and we find out that Lamar is actually still alive under a different alias to protect him, so they can figure out who shot him. Now, we know Detective Bryant has a gun at his house. He knows what B. Mickey and Meech are involved in. He also knows that B. Mickey was dealing with Kato. So is he trying to use Lamar for his own personal gain to get at Meech and Terry? Or is he actually trying to do his job? Because he isn't 100% transparent. The reason I say that is because Lamar is still alive, different alias. He showed Veronica that. But he didn't tell Veronica that B. Mickey he knew personally when they were in pursuit after him and Dink. And he didn't tell Veronica that he was going to B. Mickey's house after they left the hospital with Lamar. Or is he going to keep all of this B. Mickey situation to himself because he is blackmailing B. Mickey? He also has evidence at his home on B. Mickey, potentially setting up B. Mickey to take the fall unless he can get some information on Meech. So is Detective Bryant's goal to get to Meech, or is it just to be able to cover up any of his tracks in case he needs an escape plan and he can put the blame on B. Mickey for J-Mo, for Kato, and for Lamar? If Lamar doesn't tell us who shot him, which I don't think he will. All right, let me know what you think about Detective Bryant. Is he going to be transparent with Veronica and let her know what he's doing with B. Mickey? Or is he going to keep that on the hush hush because he has evidence at his home and he's potentially blackmailing B. Mickey? But what he really wants is Meech, and we already know that B. Mickey gave up the information that Terry is out the game as of now, and Meech is doing everything on his own. So B. Mickey could potentially give up K9 instead of giving up Meech. Now that's a whole nother topic, and right now it's not looking too good for B. Mickey. But let me know what you think about Bryant. Is it going to be transparent? Is this blackmail going to happen? Is his son going to potentially get a hold of that gun? We need to know about Detective Bryant. I'm Mo.J. If you like this content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'm out.